welcome back to Wendy's Colouring, and today is finished pages, or in this past case, not finished pages. So these are my finished pages for July. I nearly said June then, but controlled myself. Yeah, so this little pile are things that I started this month but have got nowhere near finished. But I'll show you where I'm up to, and obviously I shall continue to endeavour to get these done during August. So Married Africa, Rita Berman. I've hardly started. There's nothing really worth even discussing. Started, I think it's Chroma Flow. Yeah, it was, because it was at work, so that was the only pencils I had. So these are Chroma Flows. Literally only just started putting a base background, and then thought I might carry that blue on into this pattern, though I'm not sure I'm going to do all of them the same blue. I'm half thinking I might put a bit of purple in, because the purple behind the pink flamingo I'm thinking might be, yeah, might be nice. And I don't think I'm loving the blue on its own at the moment, but yeah, hardly done anything, not worth showing, but I thought I would anyway. Then we'll do the big one next. So you will have seen, oh, I just put one in, and it's literally just come off as I've moved it. This I started in the month on my Artex Oil Pastels video. So this is Colouring Heaven's 2020 calendar that I got a few of these on a deal a while ago. But yeah, I did use the oil pastels to do this background. Bit of a learning curve for me whilst I was using them. Don't use oil pastels very often in my colouring, but yeah, I was actually really pleased with how this turned out for a background. So I'd done it with the oil pastels, and then I've just used a kind of silicone brush to kind of push into the edge of the line so that it's doing a full background. And then since I have coated it in a couple of layers of satin glazing liquid, and I was a bit worried when I first put it on, but actually, yeah, I'm quite pleased on how it's dried. So it's completely changed the texture, and I don't love the texture of oil once it's dry on a page. It always has that kind of greasy feel to it, doesn't it? But this now just feels like it's been painted with acrylics, because it's got that kind of hard glaze over the top of it. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how the actual background's set now, and now I can kind of feel like I can colour her face like normal, and I'm not going to move and shift that or get it all over me or anything like that. It is completely set. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the glazing liquid, and it's dried really flat as well. I think that was my other worry when I was doing it. You can kind of see where the glaze was while it was wet, but it's dried super flat and dry, and you can't see it's on there at all. So yeah, it's opened up quite a bit of possibilities for my oil pastels. I think I feel a bit more confident about using them in a normal book. I mean, obviously this is one-sided and a little bit bigger in this calendar book, so I thought, you know, if I have a disaster, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and yeah, now I can actually do the figure next month, and I do like doing the odd fairy and fairy wings, so might mix a bit of watercolour paint as well on this figure as well as we go, particularly maybe in a wings, something like that. But yeah, hoping to get a bit of time to do a bit more on that, because I've already got the backgrounds in. And then Magical Dawn by Hannah Carlson, my very dirty colour. Sorry. There's no point cleaning it till I finish working in this book, because it's just going to get dirty again. This is in Holbein's, and this is literally what I've been working on Tuesday night, and then now, what day are we on? Friday, so I'm 2 days late filming this finished pages. But yeah, it's just been one of those weeks, just had other things going on, didn't have time to sit here and film. But yeah, worked a little bit this week. I would have liked to have I've not quite finished the centres of the flowers. I finished doing this kind of flower that almost looks like it's got an exploding planet in the middle of it, doesn't it? I finished doing all the petals for the same flower, or I think I have. I think I've done all of those ones. Yeah, I have, haven't I? Because these ones are different. But I've not quite finished doing the centres, so these all have the centres to do. I've started doing that one, but yeah, quite pleased with how it's going. I do enjoy doing pages like this. I do just find them totally and utterly relaxing. So yeah, I've got the other flower to do that kind of looks a bit poppyish, but obviously the middles are quite different. And then we've got these little ones that kind of remind me of fuchsias. They're around quite a few places. Then obviously got the two butterflies, and there's a dragonfly thing. I don't know if it is a dragon, it's some kind of insecty thing, isn't it? Anyway, is that it then? I thought that, oh yeah, there's another little beetly thing here. I knew there was another one somewhere. And then background. I'm umming and ahhing about whether to use some of my granulating paint in the background, but this is quite smooth, this paper, so I don't know, I'm on the fence as to whether it'll actually do anything on the surface. The other option is to maybe paint a bit of gesso or something in these backgrounds first, which will texturise the surface a little bit. Decisions. Anyway, this is where I'm up to. I'm quite pleased with where it was. I'm enjoying working on it. Still got a bit of touching up here and there to do in the petals, but in the main I'm quite pleased with where I'm up to with it. It's coming on okay in Magical Dawn by Hannah Carlson. Okay, so those are my on the goes. These are finished, so we'll go in for these little ones a little bit because they are quite weeny, aren't they? Coloring book for A Bright Day Together by Rainy Park. It is so cute. I have again kind of ignored the colour scheme on this side. Well, not ignored it, I kind of kept the yellow the same. I just like it a bit warmer, a bit brighter, a bit more cheerful. I like it. It's just not me, is it? So yeah, I've got a bit more lemon and terracotta-y kind of tones. I just kept the yellow so far and a little bit of brown. Again, you've got quite a mahogany kind of looking brown in the print. I've just warmed it up. It kind of feels a bit more oak or something like that in mine. And I carried that theme on through the wall and the woodwork on the side and the floor. I lightened the floor a little bit as well. In fact, I just renovated this poor bird's entire house how I felt fit. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I think these were my Holbeins as well. I think I've been using my Holbeins in these little Korean books. I quite like them. And I've used quite a lot of my Gravibush pens. I think they were mainly, not this colour, but these ones I've been using quite. I do quite like them for the line work. They flow really nicely, and it's really easy to just take the little bits of lines out that you want. So edge of the sofa where I didn't want the black, the edge of the chair where I didn't want the blue. I've not taken them all out there. I've not taken the cabinet lines out. I think for wood it's fine. Little bit in the wallpaper again where I just don't want it to be you know, too dark where they are, but it's a cute little book. I am loving working in these. They don't take ages, but they're fun. They've got really nice little details. They're just fun to play about with. I enjoy doing all the little bits and pieces on the shelves and on the sideboard and the little pictures. It's just, yeah, it's cute, isn't it? I do like it a lot. I have no doubt it will be back next month, even though I can never remember what it's called. Colouring Book for a Bright Day Together by Rainy Park. I shall briefly flip it if you want the ISBN. Oh, sorry, it's glaring at you. But yeah, cute one. I enjoyed it. And to go with, obviously, I had to do the other one as well, which also I can't remember what it's called. Where's my sticker gone? Oh, Hello Forest Friends, colouring book by Jo Borum. Another really cute one, but paper in these is really nice paper, and I've been like, oh, I'd really like to use a bit of watercolour on these papers because it literally feels like card. Don't use watercolour in these little books if you get them, or certainly don't flood them because it does not take the watercolour well. I was really surprised, and it does not want to lie flat. It's properly kind of changed the paper. So I tried my, I think it was my Holbein watercolours in the background, and I do quite like what they've done in terms of colour. They've kind of used two different ones and they kind of separated quite nicely. That side of it's worked okay, but yeah, it's really buckled the paper very badly, and I don't think that's going to lie flat again ever. I kind of feel like I've ruined my book a little bit. but I'm living with it. It's okay, it's okay. At least they're only one-sided. Could have been worse, couldn't it? But this page is just cute, isn't it? I like how it looks. Again, I think I did these with my Holbeins, did I? Checking my list, yes I did. I love doing these little cute little hippos jumping into the little bath. It's just, yeah, it's another really little fun, easy, fun page that I enjoyed working on. Just wish, yeah, just so surprised it didn't take the watercolour as well as I expected, because it just feels so nice, this paper. Might be alright with watercolour pencils if you're just adding small amounts of water, but I literally flooded it. I did flood it. It did have a lot of water on it because I really wanted this kind of soft effect. So I wanted the paint to move and not end up with a tide mark somewhere. I wanted it to be that kind of very gentle background. So I did flood it. Clearly flooding it isn't okay. So maybe next time I'll try a little bit of just watercolour pencil somewhere and use a little water brush and see how it takes that. But certainly things like this do worry me, where you can see it's very wet, that they've put theirs on. You're not going to be able to do that. Well, you are, but your page is going to end up like this, like this. Yeah, the effects like that is going to be tricky, I think, in this book, which is a bit frustrating when the paper feels so lovely. But I still love the book. It's a beautiful book, and hopefully it'll flatten a little bit over time, but yeah, so far it doesn't want to. What a shame. Like the page though. Hello Forest Friends, Colouring Book by Jo Boram. Cutie, it's so cute. Another one that's been on the channel this month is, oh, we'll have to go back out a smidge, won't we, for Snow White. Too much, there we go. Snow White by Fabiana Asiasio. You probably have seen this. Was this my Grabby video? I think it was, yeah. So in my Grabby, I should ask them, shouldn't I, which it is. Which is it? I did do a bit of a trial using both the pens that they sent me. So they sent me some lovely brush pens with quite a wide range of colours, 72 colours in, and they sent me the set of these ones, the smaller of the sets of these ones. These ones are really good. I'm seriously considering getting the bigger ones just because they're finding them really useful, having just knocked them out of my little container there. But yeah, I did this one. I did the under background with the brush pens, and then as you see I've started to paint my watercolour over. This side I've used just the brush pens for the bird and in the flowers, and I've only just used just a tiny little bit of colour pencil here and there where I just wanted to add a little bit more, but I have actually blended the colours from the brush pens, just had a wet brush with me, used the two brush pens and just actually blend them together while they were still wet with the brush, and did that for the flowers, done that for the bird, and then like I say I've just added a little bit of colour pencil, but not very much. What pencils did I use? A little bit of Holbein, Lion, a little bit of Caran d'Ache Luminance. Oh, I see we've got some sun. Hold on, I should shut the blind. Sorry, now I can see again. But yeah, the difference that actually undercoating the page first makes is massive. This side, because it's not a massive bit of background, I did undercoat all of this, and the paper is pretty much, even though I've used the watercolour, really smooth. This side I did not undercoat all the background because it's such a big background and I didn't want to rub my pen out already, and it's hard to show, but this is quite lumpy bumpy in comparison. It's still workable. I'll still be able to work on this side, but the texture of the paper has changed, the sound of the paper has changed. It's got that crinkle to it, whereas this is pretty much fine. It's okay. So it has, using the acrylic underneath, just that one layer of the colour, and I've used a colour that's very similar to the paint that I've been layering over the top. I think I've only got one coat of the paint over this side, whereas this side, cause again it's got no undercoat under it, has a couple of layers of the paint, particularly in some areas, but obviously it has changed the texture of the background quite dramatically. So it's always that battle for me. Do I run out my pen and do an entire background, or do I save my pain and get a bit more of a crinkly background? My preference is to do an undercoat with them on a book that I know is gonna change the paper texture. I know this Fabiana Attanasio book will take some watercolour, and yes, it's warped a little bit, but it's nowhere near as bad as that Korean book that I just had out. This, in comparison, is reasonably flat. But yeah, I was really pleased with how the brush pens worked over the surface. It's quite quick working with them like that. Well, you have to be quick if you want to blend them, because you've got to catch them while both colours are dry, and these pens do dry quite quickly, so it's an advantage that they dry quite quickly. But if you're trying to like do a big area, then it could be problematic. Because I've just taken this in small chunks, it's much easier to catch it while it's wet. You're just doing literally this little sections as you go. If you want to have a look how I do it, obviously it'll be towards the end of my grabby video, where I think I do the entire bird. I don't think I do all the flowers, but I certainly do the entire bird with the brush pen, so you can see the technique of how I'm blending the acrylic paints together. I can't remember whether I videoed me doing a little bit of colour pencil over the top, but I've literally just used the luminance in a few little sections. Possibly you might be able to see where I've used just a little bit of coloured pencil over the top, just to add a bit of texture or a little bit of a darker tone here and there. But yeah, it was a fun page to have a go at. Wasn't in my colouring plans this book, but yeah, I just thought it'd be quite nice to see if I could do it with the pens, really. And yeah, you can. Worked quite nicely. So this is Snow White by Fabiana Attanasio. I think there were, last time I looked on Amazon, a few of these, not necessarily the English version of this book, but a few other language version, which obviously doesn't really matter, does it? You colour in the pictures, who cares what language it is at the beginning, because it's quite a cute little book, this. Snow White by Fabiana Attanasio. Then Mini Mania by Gabby Wolf, book 4. This is a new book to me. That very naughty Colouring with K forced me to buy some books. Okay, she didn't. You know, I've been colouring in Gabby Wolf, haven't I? Quite a few months now in my book 3, coming up in a minute. But yeah, Kay had this book, and she did photograph me some pictures of ones she fancied doing for a buddy colour. So we've both done a page in 4. Yeah, this is a lovely book as well, isn't it? 4. I'm really glad I got this. I've got 4 and 5, sneak peek. But yeah, I've worked in 4. We've done this page together. So I shall add Kay's page in here. Hers is lovely. I know she's used the Newcastle Arts set, the Harmonious set, hasn't she? So she's used that really kind of muted colour palette. It's really quite an interesting palette, isn't it? I obviously have not done that. I do like a bit of colour, but yeah, I really love Kay's. It's really interesting, and it's nice to see something a little bit different as well. So I have I have done obviously the opposite of that. Subtle, mine is not. My husband did say, yours you need sunglasses to have a look at. Yeah, thanks very much. But it's kind of right, isn't it? I can't deny that I might have gone a bit colour crazy on this. I don't know why. I just saw this in multicolour and I just couldn't help myself. Just had to do more colour. More colour. What we need now is a bit of metallic on top of that colour. So yeah, I know it's possibly a bit much, isn't it? But I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy this page. So I kind of thought of this as a kind of department store, and the top one in particular did kind of remind me of like an old-fashioned department store. But then I kind of brightened it up a bit. So yeah, we've kind of gone. This is in Prismacolor. Obviously, my other book I've been working Chroma Flows in, but I'll have a change because I've used a lot. So yeah, this is in Prismacolor. Obviously, you can get, there's a lot of pigment in Prismacolor, isn't there? And so, and there's some shades in that I don't have in the Chroma Flow, so probably I went a bit colour mad. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. Obviously, you've still got the texture of this paper. I actually think I was feeling this copy of 4 that I've just got, and I do think this paper is slightly different to the one that I've got in 3, and I think this feels slightly cheaper than that one. which I don't know if that just feels a bit rougher, and maybe this one feels a bit smoother, I don't know, but I think I do prefer my book 3. I don't know why, just paper wise. I'd have thought they were the same, but who knows, maybe they're not. But I've still managed okay with Prismacolor. Obviously there's quite a few layers in places. The sparkly bits are literally my Lightwish golden markers. I've used them quite a bit. I've used them on the little dresses. There's little bits of trim. They're inside some of the central bits of the flower, in buckles, in bits of the hardware on the dummies, and that little door at the bottom. Obviously the wallpaper is a bit bling-tastic, but yeah, as soon as I opened this page I was like, oh, they're so being in metallic. And obviously your watercolour options in this paper is slim, so golden markers it was, and then I'd done all the little diamonds and thought, now I'm going to do the stripes as well. Just over bling it. You can't have too much bling, can you? You can't. And then I was fairly subtle on the top. There's just little bits in the handbag hardware and a little bit on a trim and things like that. But yeah, I've loved doing this page. I really have. It's so fun. And yeah, I've just enjoyed the colours so much. There's nothing makes me more cheerful than a load of colour like that. I do quite like this one. I liked the dress, but the background, there's a lot of backgrounds, isn't there? I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this background? Because it could be very boring. Like, in my ideal mind, I'd maybe like to do quite a bit of metallic in the background, but this paper, I might have to put, maybe I should try satin glazing liquid on it. Who knows? Anyway, book 4. I've done that page this month in Gabby Mania. Gabby Wolf Mini Mania. Book 4. Thank you, Kay. It was really fun, that. And then, obviously, my one that I've been working in a lot this year, Gabby Wolf Mini Mania 3. I finished this one this month that we did as a colour along. So I think I just had to finish off the little house, and we did the little, I was going to say turtle then, tortoise at the bottom. And yeah, that's finally all of this page done, finished, hurrah! And I did just put a little bit of sparkle here and there, just with my, oh, what's it called? I've lost the, can I reach it? This thing, what are they called? Aqua Shimmer by, it's hard to see, isn't it? Nouveau. But yeah, it's Aqua Shimmer. And it's that one. What number is that? I can't read it through the screen. 882 Glitter Gloss. I think I got these as a set. So I've got this one, which is the one I've used on the page, that's got this kind of silver sparkle. I've got a gold, and I think there's a rose gold. But it doesn't tend to come off as much as some of the other ones that I have. Could seal it, but it all ran last time, so I think I won't do this time. So that one I obviously finished this month, and then I also, because I just can't leave this book alone, did this one this month as well, which you'll be surprised to learn is in Chroma Flows. So every page I've done in this book so far is in Chroma Flows, just because I've had them at work. And this book has been living in my work bag, so I just do a bit of background and when I get a quiet minute and I just think, oh, need a minute, colour in a bit of background and get my head back together before me and a teenager have an argument, but you know. Yeah, so Chroma Flows all in the background. I think this time I did actually use my what's it called? A Ohuhu blender pen at my Ohuhu set, the clear blender. That one, Colours Blender, on the background. So I'd done this background quite lightly, but this has quite a fibrous paper, so you get a lot of that white dotty kind of look, which I don't love, but I didn't want to layer any more of the actual colour pencil. What is that on there? Bit of like pencil sharpening. That's annoying, isn't it? I should get it off another time, not when I'm talking. But I didn't want to layer any more colour pencil on because it would make the colour a lot darker, and I wanted that background to be quite subtle and you know, like it's a distance behind somehow. And if you brighten the colour, if you strengthen the colour, then it brings it closer to you visually speaking. So I wanted to keep it quite soft. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it with the blender and see how much it changes the colour and how much it dissolves the colour enough to kind of conceal that kind of spotty texture. And you can still see it a little bit, I think, but it has softened it to the point where I was happier with it. So just the background, I just used the blender pen just to kind of layer that a little bit. I didn't use the blender pen on any of the Teapot Coffee Pot House and any of the green work or any of the rabbits or anything like that. That is just pure coloured pencil work, and that is my preferred technique for working in this book. All of this book pretty much is just pure coloured pencil work, just layering the pencils. I have used my grabby pens on this as well, and I think I was using some of my older, they're just a rubbishy Amazon brand that you probably saw in my colour along video as well, because it was before I'd got my grabby ones as well, so there's a little bit of both on this page. But yeah, I did enjoy this a lot. I think I did pinch a couple of my Prismacolor pinks for this page because I don't know why, but I always end up doing teapots pink. I don't quite know what that's about, but as soon as I see a teapot, in my head it's pink. I have a few teapots, none of which are pink in real life, but yeah, as soon as I see one as a drawing, it's going to be pink. And I don't love the pinks in the Chromaflows. One is very, very pale, and the other one is more like this kind of tone that's in the curtain, and I just wanted a bit more of this that I've got. So I think the actual teapot, the pink in the teapot, is Prismacolor, not the Chromaflow, but everything else is Chromaflow. I have put a couple of those pinks permanently in my Chromaflow pencil case just because I like pink, and I was missing them, so I thought, this is silly, just put some in. That's what I've done. But yeah, I've loved doing this teapot page. I don't know what it is about these books by Gabby. I really enjoy working in these. I don't love the paper. The paper is rubbish. In my dream world, I'd prefer this as a PDF so I could print it on something better. Because if I could paint in it as well, that'd be really nice, wouldn't it? I know we can put something on the page, but because I mainly like doing coloured pencil, if I put watercolour ground on, then it's just going to eat my pencils when I come to actually work with the pencils, so then I won't like that side of it, and that is obviously the main thing I love about working in these books. And the same, I suspect, if I satin glazed that's very bad English, sorry, satin glazed the whole page, let's try that again, then when I come to colour, again, you're going to have to work over that. It's not going to be as nice a surface as working on paper is direct, so I don't know, maybe I need to think about it, of how I could possibly get a bit more watercolour in here and there. There are a few things I could play about with. But Gabby Wolf, Millimania, Book 3. Then I finally got into this one that was new out of my Aladdin haul. It's a little bit big for this. There we are. I'll move a pen because that's annoying, just in the corner. So this I got in my Aladdin haul last month before, I've lost track of time now. This is the Healing Time Every Day with a Lovely Doll coloured pencil doll colouring book by, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that because I will do it wrong. But I think they're Blythe dolls, aren't they? Every time I see this, I think it's just the Blythe doll colouring book. Why make the name so complicated? So I did this one this month. This is, well, it's, I thought, oh, I'll just work in my Holbeins. It's a Korean book. They'll be fine. No, they weren't fine. I did this little bit in the Holbein, that little bit in the Holbein, and the pink of her dress in Holbein. And at that point I realised that I did not like the Holbeins on this paper. It was again leaving a lot of texture. They were struggling to build up to layer on this surface. I don't know what it is about this paper, but it doesn't suit the Holbeins. So then I did get the Prismas out, and so her skirt, her legs, her boots, the little bunny, her hat, and a little bit of the trim, and I did work over the top of the Holbeins a little bit, although like I say, they'd built up to a point where it wasn't easy to work over. The Prisma's worked well on it. I think the only issue is some of this is quite fine little sections, so like working inside the little laces, and obviously keeping a Prisma sharp is tricky. And then her, I thought, no, I am not doing her with a Prismacolor because that's pretty much impossible. Well, I suppose if I wanted it just solid her, a piece of her. So I think I did, in my Prismacolor pencil case, live my Derwent Pro colours. So I did use those for the hair, and they were alright on this paper actually. I deliberately have them in my Prismacolor pencil case because this is the issue that I have with Prismacolor quite a lot. They're great, aren't they, for bigger spaces. They're great to lay the colour. They'll manage fine with something like the skirt and the tights, legs. My brain doesn't want to work today. But yeah, I struggled a little bit around with the laces, trying to keep it sharp enough and trying to get it into some of the edges, just because you just can't keep that sharp tip on. So having the Pro Colour in the same pencil case, when you just want a little bit more detail, like in the little irises and on our little eyelashes, things like that, and the hair, they're handy to have those two together. Before I had a big set of Chroma Flows, they were also in there, but they're not in there anymore, just the Prisma and the Pro Colour in together, and I'm quite liking that combination. This has the Prismacolor colours that they've used in their version on here, but having now done one, I can see that this isn't quite all the colours they've used, because for example the hair gave only 2 blues in their example, and there's the blues, although it looks quite dark on here, when you actually fish those 2 blues out, so it's 902 and 903, they're actually quite bright colours. And this obviously has quite a lot of shadow underneath the back of her head and in some of these sections. So I picked out, well, I think I had 4 colours out in the end to try and get a similar effect. And I think I could have gone darker. Again, really, now I'm looking at it, it looks more navy to me. Maybe it's just the way they've printed these in the book, and maybe the reality of this image was brighter or lighter when it was actually drawn, and it's just the way they've printed them makes them look darker. So maybe they were the original ones, but to get the effect that you're looking at, you definitely need to add other pencils in. There wasn't really even a skin tone added in any of this section. I think that bit there is supposed to be her, and the only light one was 914, which is obviously much more yellow, which I think was for the hat really. There was no actual skin in there, so I've had to play about a little bit. I don't know, the noses are quite strange. They're not drawn in, they're basically just 2 dots, and she's kind of just done shading on the other sides of the nose. I struggled a little bit. I keep looking at her nose and think, no, I hate it. Oh, it's okay. Is it okay? No, I hate it. And the lips weren't drawn in properly either. Had to draw it. I had to draw the lines of the lips in. So there's a few little bits and pieces that are, I think, a bit of a learning curve with this. You look at it and think, oh yeah, that's easy. That'll be an easy colour. But actually, yeah, a few things cropped up. And I thought, yeah, that's a bit tricky. The legs here, again, have just got 2 colours in. But there's clearly more than 2 colours in her legs. There's purple, there's pink, and there's a cream tone, but they've only really given you the cream and the purple. You have to kind of do a bit of looking yourself if you want it close to. Not that I'm particularly bothered about getting them matching. I think I've long since given up, but I think I kind of liked her, so I did want to do it similar to her. It's not the same. I've not made it the same. I'm not too worried about making it the same. But yeah, it's a fun book. I think you just have to take this as a kind of starting guide and then build on it to build up the colours that you want to. But yeah, I enjoyed working on it. I think as you go through this book, they get a bit harder. So towards the back, you've got a lot more kind of extra things going on. The girls seem to be a little bit bigger. There's definitely more complicated by the time you get to part 4 there. Even part 3 is quite complicated, so I'm quite glad I picked one nearer the front as a starting point. But yeah, I'll do some more in this one. It's fun. At least now I know I need to kind of do these in Prismas because it works okay with this paper. And the Pro Colours are okay with it as well. It was quite a fun little start to Coloured Pencil Doll colouring book by someone who I don't know how to pronounce it. The ISBN, if you want to have a look for it on Etsy or somewhere like that, is there. I think I got it from Aladdin, didn't I? Yes, I did. I got it from Aladdin. And then finally this month, yay! Finally, I've worked in a mythographic book. This is my first mythographic page ever. I have 2 mythographic books. This one and Voyage by Joseph Cattenbank, who's still sitting on the shelf uncoloured. I did know that Fairy in Wonderland by Fabiana, whose drawing I always love, was most likely to be the first one. But yeah, I've finally done a page in it, and I've done this page, and I've quite enjoyed it, I'm pleased to say. I've not enjoyed this stupid, why? I don't, who's taking their pages out of their book that we need a perforation? Why? So yeah, obviously I'm quite messy when I colour, so I've already had to tape it back on because it's coming out. No. Yeah, I did use quite a bit of stuff in this. I didn't really know how to approach this page, what would work on the paper. I had, obviously, quite a lot of people are saying, oh, it's good paper, you can put some watercolour on it. So I started off with Museum Aquarelles in the background, and I did wet them. I think then I did work back over some of them just because I wanted them a little bit darker in some parts and I wasn't totally happy with it, so I did do a bit of luminance. I've mixed kind of my luminance and my Holbein in the actual colouring of the drawing. I think most of this red and orange was my Holbeins rather than my luminance. Normally if I'm doing red I do tend to use the luminance red because it's quite strong pigmented red, but I think I did actually use the Holbeins on these ones just because I had the Holbeins oranges out already. But yeah, I've chucked quite a few other bits and pieces at this, as you can probably see already. It was a fun page to work on. I've got a little bit of sparkle going on in some sections, as you can see. I wasn't totally sure about what on earth these things were, but I think it's supposed to be kind of fairy dust flowing through wherever they are. But I did have to, I was like, what is that? I did have to go back and read it, and I was like, oh, okay. So I can go kind of sparkly with it. But yeah, I've used my Grabby acrylic paint pens. Obviously, there's going to be some acrylic paint pens in there. Coliro Pearl watercolours. Were those the ones on? I think they were the gold ones on this kind of, I don't know if this is a lantern or a jewellery box or a mix of both. I've kind of done it like it's a light source a little bit, though I didn't go mad with it. But yeah, the Caliros is the gold on there. The Renaissance is the kind of fairy glitter dust bit. But yeah, my Etsy Renaissance paints are in there. I've also used some Art Spirits, again from Etsy, because she has some really beautiful glitter paints. So I think the first coat was with the Renaissance, and then I've added a bit of the Art Spirits glitter over the top. Oh yeah, I've used a bit of Deco Brush Pigment acrylic brush pens that I could never say, just because there was a few odd colours and they have a few other colours in them, so now and again I do grab one of those if I can't quite find the colour I want. But yeah, I quite like it. Oh, and I think I've used a little bit of Posca in the white. Or did I use the Grabby white? Oh no, I think it's the Grabby white. I think I'm telling lies. I think it's the Grabby white now I'm feeling over it, because they sit a bit flatter once they're dry than the Posca. But yeah, my first mythographic page, and yeah, I did enjoy it. There's a lot going on, isn't there? And I think that's still my problem, I think, maybe with Mythographic, that I like to imagine what the page is going to look like before I colour it. But I find that very difficult with these pages because I'm still spending my time going, oh, what's that there? What is that part of her dress? Is that? Do you know what I mean? They're quite confusing pages, aren't they? Some of them. It's a beautiful book. I really like this now it's done. I liked it as I was getting it done, but you constantly kind of, oh, is that part of his head, or is that a flower? Is that his wing, or is that another bit of that? It's a bit more, yeah, it's a bit more challenging in some respects, isn't it, to make sense of what you're doing on the image. Like I did actually go looking for this image coloured on Instagram. I was like, what? Should that just end underneath the foot? Because this kind of makes no sense to me. You've clearly got a bit of tassel, but the other bit of it's not there. Like, where is that coming from? Bits like that. I'm like, shall I draw it back in, or should I just leave it like that? Things like this stop me from colouring. They confuse my brain, and then my brain's like, but it doesn't make sense. Why is it like that? I'm just being silly. But I did enjoy doing it, and I do love it now. As a finished image, I'm quite pleased. And I'm pleased that I've worked in this book finally, and some of them are not as complicated, are they? And hopefully I'll feel happier to just pick this up and do a bit more. Because I do like this book. They're very me images. They're just very complicated images, aren't they? I find that a little bit more tricky. But that is my last one this month for July. Mythographic Fairy Wonderland by Fabiana Attanasio. Very pleased to have got that done. I've got to try and work in Voyage now, which looks even more scary and more confusing. But hopefully I shall. Maybe I'll feel brave next month. Maybe I won't. But that's all my stuff for this month. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're loving what you're colouring. Let me know, which is your favourite? I'm not even sure which my favourite is this month. Maybe it's, I know which one I'm thinking about it. I had to kick up Bender. Maybe it's this one. It's the colour. I do like this one, but I think I like this one as well. Just because it was fun. And look how blingy it is. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.